Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can continue to get notified for all the new content coming from Make WODs Great Again, as well as the podcast and Make Pods Great Again. So with that, let's talk about why you should probably be scaling WODs more often and how to do that. All right, so this is primarily designed for people like myself that are masters athletes or just old AF. It's also designed for those of you that don't have all the movements in your repertoire, or maybe you're just a new CrossFitter and you don't really know where to start. So here's something that I learned a couple of years ago, I think is really critical when you think of scaling and why it's important. So here's my trick. I scale every workout, virtually every workout. I usually only don't scale as if every single movement is in my wheelhouse, if I had a wheelhouse, as well as something that I'm completely and utterly comfortable and capable that whatever is programmed, I can do to my best ability without it kind of wrecking the rest of my week. So that's my first criteria for it. My second criteria for scaling is looking at kind of the bulk of the work I'm going to do that week and making sure that I can put in good quality work over each workout, as opposed to picking one workout and just destroying it and then kind of wrecking the rest of those workouts, right? So the concept here is you should always be looking for good movement. You should always be looking for good quality. But my argument is you should not be going to that red line that maybe you guys have all felt during a workout like Murph that we did yesterday, or during the open, right? I typically work at what I would describe probably 80% capacity. So how do you do that? So there are really, for me, three primary ways that I scale workouts. And the first one is time. I just quit looking at the clock altogether. That's important to me for a number of reasons. From just a mental health standpoint, chasing a clock typically makes me do dumb things. It makes me move with bad form. It makes me make bad decisions. It makes me question my life choices. So many things come from it that just aren't good. So typically when I look at a workout, I figure what everyone else is going to do. So kind of the top athletes, I'll look at the whiteboard, or I'll simply ask my coach, hey, what should the time be for this? And then I scale back from that. So as an example, if a coach said, well, the time for this workout should be 10 minutes, then I scale off of that and say, well, if I'm going to give kind of 80% of myself into this, then maybe my time is going to be 12 to 14 minutes or 14 to 16 minutes, depending on, whatever the workout is. So, I don't limit myself by going, all right, I have to be 10 minutes or I have to be 12 minutes. Like I find that best time and I scale off of that. So that's really kind of the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I look at what type of workout it is. And we have the three. We have time-based workouts, which I just described. We also have AMRAPs and we have Tabatas. Those are kind of the big three. I treat them all like this. With AMRAPs, I do virtually the same thing I do with the clock. I look to see how many rounds or reps that everyone else or those RX athletes should be getting, and I scale off of that. So if I look at let's say it's a 20-minute AMRAP and the average athlete is getting 8 rounds, then I might set a goal for myself of 5 to 6 rounds as an example, because I'm scaling off of what is considered the best. Two things come from that. Number one, I don't feel bad about my own performance because I'm hitting my own goals, not focusing on what other people have. And I'm treating that AMRAP no different than I treat weight training, meaning you routinely figure out your 1 rep max and you work off of that by percentages. I'm treating that exactly the same way. You would never come in and do a weightlifting, any weightlifting movement at 100% of your 1 rep max every single day. You'd be insane to do that, and I contend you're insane treating Metcons like that. I do the same thing with Tabatas. So if I'm looking at a Tabata and it's 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, I figure what are the kind of the best of the best, what could they get in this time frame. So if you just took, I don't know, we'll say sit-ups as an example, like in 20 seconds, somebody who's really good at sit-ups can typically get 15 to 18 sit-ups in that time frame, typically. So you might then say, okay, if over a course of 8 rounds, if I know I can't hold on to 15 to 18, I'm going to set my goal at 10 to 12. And And so again, you're kind of working off of that 1 rep max by percentage. The goal being that you're putting in work over a longer, more consistent period of time. So if you think about over maybe, over a full year period, so I've been testing this for 2 years now. And if you think about it over a full year period, if you're having to take an extra day off every single week because you're redlining one workout and it's destroying you for the rest of the week, and so now you got to cherry pick something or just take a day off, over the course of the year, you've now taken, 36 extra days off or so over the course of the year that you wouldn't have taken otherwise, that you're now putting work in. Granted, at less intensity, less volume, less effort, if you want to call it that. But over the course of the year, that starts to build up and add up. And, I would also contend it will keep you healthier. It'll keep you more sane. It'll make you significantly happier because you're no longer chasing the clock or chasing the whiteboard or chasing other people. You're only working towards your own goals, which I tend to believe is the most important thing. So I hope this helps some of you guys. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below or shoot me a DM. I'm happy to talk more about it, about how it's worked for me. And I'd love to hear your stories and see more of us scaling workouts together. And before we go, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also go subscribe to our podcast. You're going to find it on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts. We're on all of them. We'd love to have you listen. A lot of great guests coming up.